We give awkward handshakes over here, man. Get that here, bro.
Yeah.
So good. If you've ever said on May 4th that May the 4th be with you, you're most likely a huge virgin. Do you like that new Snickers candy bar? The one is called Oops, all dick veins? This week, while your daughter was trying to one-up you, did you tell her that you were going to pour food down your pants into your crotch and then let her dog lick it off?
Repeat that one.
Needs to be ran back.
Did you one-up your daughter this week by telling her, oh yeah, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this food, dump it down my crotch, and let your dog lick it all off?
Jeez.
It's a solid question.
That's a big one up, man. You one up that.
You can't one-up me, man.
You can't.
Kevin says I'm a one-upper.
I'm a one upper too, but you've always won. The one up.
Welcome back. We're going all in.
We are going.
We don't know JAK.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back. We got a great guest on today. Nico, let's introduce everybody.
Yeah. So we first heard, before I give you his name, this gentleman's story. He was driving 18-wheelers and lost custody of his child to his ex-wife's or ex-girlfriend's father. And then the coolest thing is he set out to make money by arm wrestling in tournaments.
Hey,
Johnny White, in-house.
You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. You gotta be a multi-purpose human being. You know?
Man.
Oh, man, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So if you don't know, that's a theme from a well-known Stallone movie.
Yeah, well known.
Well-known.
Well, welcome, John White. Welcome.
Yeah, man.
What we got on the agenda for today? It's Wednesday. We're here. We're live. We got John on.
Yeah.
We're gonna chop it up with a few things, right?
We are.
Go around. There's some pop news and some stuff that went on.
We definitely. I'll give you those in a minute. We had John on. He mentioned to us that this would be helpful for him. We mentioned in one of the shows in the past that a buddy of ours passed away, and John's like best friends with this guy. Like they're synonymous. And so we thought this would be a good opportunity for him to come in here, maybe say some things about his buddy, how he's dealing with it since, and hopefully that would help you out a little bit.
Yes, 100%. You know, it's been a rough road. It's like I was telling Kevin when I first got over here. It's just been. I don't think I was ready for how it was going to affect me. I never had a brother. I've had people that were like brothers, but never on as close as he was to me. Yeah. You know, and
I'm gonna jump in too and give us some reference for the viewers that don't know John and don't know Brandon. So Brandon was a good friend of all of ours growing up, and he was recently diagnosed with cancer. Quick, and unfortunately had about a month before he passed. And Brandon was a huge friend of the show. You know, he watched every weekend.
Yeah.
Even during his cancer battle, the last text I showed you was that he wanted to come on the show when he beat it. Yeah. And so we knew Brandon's spirit. He went out with a fight, you know. And so John being best friends, we invited him on to kind of keep that momentum going of Brandon on here, and I can feel the spirit in the room. So this is why we're here, not only just to have a good time, and but we really want to talk about some memories of Brandon and kind of a continuation of the celebration of life that we had a couple weeks back. So,
and we are going to do that. But to chop it up in the beginning, you know, man, we got to, like you mentioned, there's some stuff going on in the news this week.
Yeah, there is.
Yep.
So I don't know which one you want to get into first.
Man, so say the Chappelle one is the one I want to talk about. So we talked on the phone in the morning, and you told me about it. And then I came in, we were trying to put the Astros game on, and it jumped on TMZ, and it started to play, and I paused it, and I was like, I'm just going to wait to talk to you about it on the show. So I don't know anything but the small conversation that we had. So what happened?
Yeah. So, and Johnny sent me this video earlier. Yeah. I was like, "You're late, homeboy."
I know. I saw it late in the afternoon.
So Dave Chappelle is doing a show. I think it's called the LA Arena, but it's in Los Angeles. And there's actually
star-studded.
There's actually like a lot of celebrities that are in the audience. But for whatever reason, man, there's this guy there who has a knife on him. Decides he's going to jump up on stage and tackle Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Was it based on a joke that he had said, or premeditated?
Like, it really was like on his downtime. Really, like remember he was talking, and then he was like he like turned, and the guy. It was kind of cloudy, or not cloudy, but it was the lights. It was kind of dim on the stage, and I think the guy dove at him. And like kind of fell down, and then they like swarmed him. So they swarmed him with
Chappelle and security get to whooping on this dude.
Stomping him.
On the stage, man.
He said he's in the back stomping
on
him.
the stage.
That was one of the things that Chappelle said.
One of the funnier things I heard was that Jamie Foxx was in the audience, jumped up on the stage, and commenced to whooping this dude's ass with them.
So when we were on the phone this morning, we were both on our car phones. Or you were at the gym, I was on my car phone. I thought you said Vivica Fox. I was like, man, she was up there with broken arms. I was like,
dropping blows on him. Vivica Fox. No, it was Jamie Foxx.
So Jamie's a big boy, man. I bet you he got them hands too.
But security was all over this dude as well. So this dude's getting jacked up.
Good.
What'd you say, Nico? He broke it. Yeah.
They broke his arm. It didn't even look like it was connected anymore.
Yeah.
In one of the pictures. But another thing I found funny was that Chris Rock was there.
Yeah.
He jumps up on stage, grabs the mic, and is talking about, Will, was that you?
It was great, dude. It was great.
That's
not to touch on that topic too much, but like
Will Smith.
Yeah, I mean
slapping Chris Rock.
The hesitation there, the whole like part of what Chris Rock was going to be the whole night was comedy.
Yeah.
So I thought that he jumped the gun a bit on that. You know, it was kind of like, you know, a guy for 20, 25 years, he cracks a joke, and you get up on stage and you kind of like put your hands on him. I think that was kind of out of line.
Yeah. We all agreed.
Yeah, it was.
Agreed.
Yeah.
A lot of comedians at that time came out and said, this sets a precedent and they need to do something because now we all have to worry about somebody coming out of the audience.
And here we go again with Chappelle.
Right. Yeah, it kind of sets off like wildfire, like these, you know, and I'll just throw an extreme one about these school shootings. Like sometimes I think they give them too much press, and it puts these thoughts in other kids, brains. So
they start to think they can. Yeah.
I listen. I'm glad.
So now you got to be worried about getting attacked, but you also got to be
Chappelle's good, man, because I like Chappelle.
It goes like people are. It's the old pull the gun rather than fight.
We talked about it the other day.
They would rather buy a ticket to a show that you have something that you don't like about the comedian and jump on stage and hit him. Just don't go to the show.
Yeah. I mean, he had a knife. That's kind of scary because he could have stabbed him.
Yeah, dude. That's
the way he jumped on.
When has this ever been a piece of the pie?
I'm going to tell you right now, man. I don't know if you guys are into golf, but I've had the fortune of going to the Masters twice.
Yes. Super jealous.
And I'm sure there's a ton of security that you can't see, but they're not like out there in uniform.
Yeah.
And
FBI style.
Dude, I've always thought to myself, how come somebody at one of these major golf events doesn't run over there and freaking slash the throat of one of these golfers just to be on TV, you know? Like they're super. It's not like a basketball or football or a baseball game like where you get tackled immediately coming on. Like nobody would get to you in a while, man, because these things are open courses, dude. You know, like so if you're walking around as a patron and this dude's just walking up to his shot, you could easily run out there before security got you and just.
So we're talking now about setting a precedent for things to happen, and you just gave a whole murder plot to some crazy dude.
The thing is about that I can kind of see where Nico's going with that is that's the extent of the world that we're living in.
Yeah.
That guy goes to that show and doesn't like that band, and he's like out there to do something. Like if you don't like the band, you don't like the comic, you don't like the restaurant, then don't go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand where all this like
people like conflict.
But why? That's weak.
The best part was that when Chappelle finally composed himself and gets back to do his set.
Yeah. He said?
He was like, "That's a trans man right there."
No, he goes, "Luckily he was uncoordinated." He goes, "Lucky," and then he goes, "That boy he was like putting his suit back on. He's like, "That guy's getting stomped in the back," and you know he was. It looked like the way it looked like. I thought Chappelle ran after he got attacked. Maybe he did, but I could see him cut to the left, and then I saw somebody cut to the right, and I was like, "Golly, they got these guys like this is like a whole like." Thing, you know, like, God, how crazy is that? When have you ever seen that at a comic show?
We just got done saying, I mean,
Jesus
freaking Will Smith set this precedent. You know?
That's crazy, man.
So now all freaking comedians got to worry. Shout out to, Bo Hernandez with Laughing Hearts Entertainment. We hope that nobody will do that to you.
Yeah. Be careful, Bo.
You think about how ruthless all the old school comedians are. Like, there's people in the crowd, they're like roasting people. Like, you can't take a little like joke.
It's jokes, bro.
Yeah,
it's jokes. So some jokes and jokes, like Chappelle says.
So the other big thing that has been going on this week, man. I know that you're going to be able to tell us about this because your wife is really in tune with what's going on. So Johnny, I remember Johnny Depp was being accused of his wife for beating her. It turns out like she was wearing makeup to make it look like she got beat up.
Yeah.
She is batshit crazy and was actually assaulting him on a regular basis. And I think she had the syndrome of the girl that we talked about earlier today.
Stockholm?
No, we didn't. I'm not going to say her name.
Alcoholism
girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
bad intentions.
My wife is so into this right now that when she came into the house yesterday, she had her phone cradled in one arm and the purse in the other, and I like hear it going off. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Just listening to the trial." And I'm like, "Is it live?" She's like, "It was, but I recorded this part because I missed it earlier when I was working." And I'm like, "Geez, you're really into it." So she has her phone on and she's watching it all day. And I pull up to the studio this afternoon, and it flips to her Bluetooth in her car. I'm driving hers. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? I hear all these court voices, and it was her. She's strung out on it. I don't know what the big deal is on it, but I think Johnny Depp's getting raked over the coals.
Yeah, well...
Oh, no, I thought it was the opposite.
I think he's going to get pinched for a whole lot of money. But the thing is...
But
like,
she's slandering
he's suing her. He's suing her for $50 million.
Is he?
Yeah, for defamation.
But she is
because he lost the ability. So Disney was talking to him about doing another Pirates.
I heard about that.
And as soon as the allegations came out about her accusing him of beating her, he lost all his contracts, every deal he had. So he's suing her for defamation, $50 million. That's what this court case is all about.
We're gonna have to have Shauna on here to give us a breakdown of it.
You know something,
tell us
Kevin,
everything.
Like they asked him, and Nico, they asked him, how much money would you take to do another Pirates of the Caribbean for Warner Brothers? He was like, dude, they couldn't pay me $200 million to do. He's like, I'm done. I washed my hands. The fact that they assumed and just cut ties with me right off the bat shows. I mean, he was basically like, how much money have I made just
have you made them?
Pirates of the Caribbean? Just
dude, they got
Johnny Depp. When you put Johnny Depp in your movie, you're not going to lose.
Yeah.
The sad thing about that is that
Jack Sparrow.
He's the man.
Yeah, and then all you have to do is make an accusation these days, and he got pulled, which shows their loyalty to him and not knowing who he is as a person. Because Johnny Depp's not really like that, from what I've heard about this situation. But all you got to do is get accused of something these days.
Trivia question.
Yes, sir.
What was his first acting role?
21 Jump Street.
I would have to say the same thing, but I know it's not. He was young. He was young when he started off.
He was a teenager.
Yeah.
He was in the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, that's
right. Yeah, what was his role on Nightmare on Elm Street?
He's the dude that got sucked into the bed and the blood spilled up on the
on the waterbed. The first scary.
He was the boyfriend of the girl that was being harassed by Freddy Krueger. Yeah.
That's
dude,
awesome.
and he he's saying stuff.
If you look at his filmology or whatever you call it.
A lot of great movies.
Oh man,
how
he can go from
Edward Scissorhands.
To Edward Scissorhands to Blow to Donnie Brasco.
Yeah, Donnie Brasco.
To who eats Gilbert Grape.
Yeah, I don't know about
to Sleepy Hollow. Dude, it's just like
you lost me, man. It's just, do you tuck your undershirt into your underwear?
Yeah, I do actually. Into the back of my underwear. Just in the back.
Shout out, Mikey. We know you got that hernia surgery.
Yeah,
hope you're staying.
I love you, Mikey.
Hope you're staying tucked.
Golly, dude.
Shout out to Brad.
I don't even want to put
shout out to Brad too.
Yeah,
Brad Rose.
Yeah. We hope that Brad was going to come on this show too.
You know, he had to work. You know, it happens. But
you know, I don't know. Like, I think one day, not anytime soon, but you know, maybe you or Brad could ask, you know, Brandon's wife if she would like to just come on and tell.
Yeah, that would be awesome too.
You know, what it was like.
You know, what would be awesome to have is Brandon's wife and then the oldest.
But he lives in a different state, right?
No, her oldest.
Oh, that's right.
God, and I can't remember.
Yeah, because he's what, like 16, 17?
Yeah, and he had a relationship with Brandon as far as being his stepdad.
However many years.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing to have. Definitely get out and for them to talk about it and to just shed some light. You know.
Just watching the fortitude and the strength of her alone has been amazing. She's
really
a wonderful woman.
Kevin, I went to Tony Greco had a birthday party for his son, little Gathan, and she came out with the baby, and with Penelope. I'm sorry, and it was great. I mean, it was. We were celebrating Gathan's birthday, but we were all noticed and we're like. Just to have her out and mixing and mingling with all of us, and it was nice. It was nice to see, you know. So it's breaking news.
Is that Brad?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
So the show we're dedicating to Brandon Rose, our brother, our friend, father, great man, and we're going to start telling some stories and getting into our relationship with Brandon. And John's going to tell some stories about him growing up. So we dedicate this show to Brandon. Rest in peace to all his family and friends. We pray that we all stay strong together and that Megan continues with her fortitude in raising those cute babies. And may they live through his legacy.
100%.
Yeah, so me and before we all came on set, we were talking about Wimbledon. Because you lived there.
Yeah.
Kevin lived there for a little bit with my brother. Yeah. My brother went to live with Kevin when Kevin lived there.
He didn't pay rent. But.
No, yeah. That's what I was trying to establish. Like, they weren't roommates. My brother was freaking...
He was sleeping under the bed. He was sleeping under the bed.
We took him in.
And we've got some crazy Wimbledon stories, you know, that we were talking about, robberies at the racket club and stuff like that, you know.
Who?
The kegs. Yeah, you leave your kegs out, then you know what happens. You know, you live and you learn, I guess.
Yeah, so back in the days, we used to go to the Wimbledon, me and Frank, and we would get those free beers. They had a keg outside. Yeah. It was our hot spot for years, man.
Why would you ever have think about that.
It was so great.
Kids going to find out why you have a keg sitting outside.
Dude, I would go there
benefit is that
and drink for free all the time because Sean worked up there. Yeah. And I'd go there, I'd work out in the weight room.
Yeah.
I'd eat like 2 or 3 chicken breasts for free, and then I'd drink beer, man, until it was time to go out for the night. Man, that was where it was at when you're 19.
It's funny. It's funny we say this, and I didn't tell you guys this earlier, but I got Brandon a job there. And he worked up at the front. He worked up at the front desk, and my mom and my sister would go there to work out and see him.
So was that one of his first jobs there?
Well,
was it the sandwich shop?
Yeah, it was RJ Goodies.
Yeah.
And then it had to have been right along the second or the third.
So if you've eaten at RJ Goodies in the 90s, Brandon made your sandwich. Yeah. He really did. He made your sandwich.
And if you're listening to this and you're somebody that didn't live in Spring, Texas, you have no idea what RJ Goodies is.
Exactly.
Yeah, the cake. Hey.
It's the subway of
Klein. It's
Klein, Texas, baby.
So my mom and my sister would go in every day and be like, oh, I saw Brandon. And Brandon always just, like my sister said, my sister invited Brandon to her wedding. You know, Brandon attended her wedding. But they always got a really good energy off of him because he was always so happy and genuine to see them.
That's
you know,
true.
it was the way that I was with seeing his mom and his family. He would just light the room would light up when my mom and my sister would see him.
Yeah.
And Brandon would like call me, and it was like an extension, and he'd be like, "Hey man, throw me in some nuggets or some chicken strips with some fries."
Yeah.
We would eat on the house. We always felt like, because we were working there. I mean, I maybe shouldn't say that, but that's long ago.
I don't even think it's in existence anymore, is it?
But we had like a $20 comp tab each day, you know, to.
I've got wild
and
stories.
Rose would make me cook. Rose would make me cook for him though. He'd be like, "Hey man," I'm like, "Dude, what does this look like?" Like,
let's start from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, first of all,
I want to know, John,
where did y'all meet? Right?
Yeah, John. When did you first meet Brandon? How did y'all's friendship start? Because I would say that you were probably one of the closest people to him throughout his whole entire life. So. Break it down in the beginning. Like, when did you become friends with Brandon? How did that happen? I know y'all played soccer together. There's a long history besides just being friends as adults, but you guys have been friends since y'all were young.
So I met Brandon 8th grade going into 9th grade, but there's a lot of people that knew Brandon probably for a longer span of him, like in the 1st grade to like, you know, 7th and 8th, 6th, 7th and 8th. But Erin Foster was having a party at her house, and we were all up there like, you know, like, there's a couple of beers in the house or some cigarettes and playing pool. And I remember seeing Brandon, and the funniest thing was he had on these boots from Colorado. You remember the place Colorado? They were there. It was Kenny's Shoes in the mall.
Oh,
but the brand was Colorado.
I thought you were talking about the city.
I thought you were talking about
the brand was called Kenny's Shoes. Or no, I'm sorry. The brand was called Colorado. The place was called Kenny's Shoes. It was in Willowbrook Mall.
Okay.
And he had on like a hat, and he had the bill creased, you know, like he was gonna have a fish hook, and then he had a jacket, a Black Watch plaid jacket, nice jacket. I don't know where he got it from, but
this is super vivid, man.
This is the funniest. This is so funny because I thought, who is this guy? And he had the jacket like leaned back on his shoulders, and I'm like, this dude thinks he's just like Puff Daddy before Puff Daddy, you know. And he was like, who is this guy? You know, he went to Dory, I went to Kleb, and then we were standing outside, and he was like smoking a cigarette, and he's like, "Yeah, man, so you play soccer and that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, you know, I play for the Texans as well. I played on the A team, he played on the B team."
Brandon, sure get that in there.
Well, that's a fact, you know, and Brandon was good.
Yeah,
Brandon, I don't think Brandon knew how good he was. I think Brandon could have been better if he had more confidence in the type of player that he was. But we were, and then he was like, "Yeah, like what kind of music do you listen to?" And I was like, "Well, you know, I'm a 90s guy." And he's like, "Man, me too." I was like, Alice in Chains.
Wait, what year is this? Like, y'all are in the 90s.
Yeah, I know, but like, okay. I guess that's a far-fetched word, 90s guy. Yeah. You know, what I meant was like, I was into the same,
I got you.
The 90s.
What you would call 90s now.
Yeah,
right?
90s now.
Yeah, alternative, right?
Yeah. And, it was, and we just, from that moment, we went upstairs, and he's like, "You want to play as a team on pool?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, you suck at pool." I was like, "Yeah, I never played pool." And he's like, "Hey, man, we're going to leave, and what are you doing?" And it was almost just like we were like glue from that point on. We were just like, it was like I'd met somebody, you know, in a lifetime you don't meet, you only going to run into somebody that you really click with maybe once or twice in a whole lifetime. Yeah. That's going to be like that. Where like we'd finish each other's sentences and we got the jokes that nobody else got. You know, and from that moment after that cigarette, we walked upstairs and we were fucking spaghetti and meatball, dude. That was our gig from there on. And I think it's what hurts the most is part of me feels like it's missing. Like he took a piece of my heart, you know, and that's just the way it works. And I'll never have that piece back, but he can have that piece because he earned that piece. And I miss him every day. And I'm almost to the point, like, I like this because the positive stories are coming out. You're getting away from, like, the self-absorbed negativity. But it's, you know, in the last few weeks, I've been really coming around and thinking about all the good times and all the, you know, and it's just hard. It would be like, like I told Kevin, you know, it would be like Nico, Frank, or Mikey going.
Yeah.
Like, how would you, you know, you guys would feel like a part of you was missing, and it's just,
I agree.
That part isn't coming back, but you got to move on. And
yeah, we talked about that earlier before the show about you know, kind of dealing with the depression of losing somebody that's really close to you, and I know you're kind of feeling like you were down on yourself, but I said, you know, if that weren't the case, that would be more of a problem, you know, that you're kind of recognizing the feelings that you're going through. And we were going to talk about some like grief steps that I could show you. And, you know, I'm grieving too, man. I think it's a tragedy what happened. Brandon was taken way too young, and his young child. And I know it's been going kind of rough for you. It's been rough for you. So talk about that. Talk about how you're feeling, man, so we can all kind of bond on that experience.
Yeah. So, like I think I was talking to Nico, and we were standing in the kitchen, and I said, you know, I've lost, you know, Mr. Watley, Beverly's mom, Mr. Beckering, the list goes on. And I think when that happens, you know, they're older and they have an established family, and you can grieve and you accept it. They at least had time to build their families or do whatever they needed to do. Yeah. But this one hit me in it was a Tyson uppercut, and it threw me off in a way that I was upset. I was coming home, you know, I didn't go like out all the time, but I was definitely, when I got indulged in alcohol or something, like a little later at night, I started to get emotional, you know. I was like, come home, sit on the edge of my bed, and I put a picture of him and me, like when we were up in Niagara Falls, right up on my mirror, so I see it every day. It's something that I might take, it's not that I would take it down, but it makes me think about it every day.
Every day.
And
do you find yourself drinking every day?
No.
Okay.
No. Nothing to that extent, but I do find myself going out like on a Friday or Saturday and not cutting myself off and saying, okay, I've had like 6 beers.
Just keep going.
Keep going, and like, cause I'm upset.
Yeah.
You know, and I you know, and it's like the old saying says, you know, you feel good one night, and then the next morning you wake up and it's still there. You know, so
it's probably never going to go away.
No.
You know, the loss in the heart is probably never going to go away. Mm-hmm. You just learn to deal with it better.
Mm-hmm. We had another friend on the show who talked about being in a motorcycle accident where he lost his best friend, and
on the back.
Yeah, and
wow.
He couldn't even talk to us about the moments that he saw his friend before he passed away. It was so, you know, it's still with him.
Yeah, shout out Ben for telling that story. But yeah, there were some emotions that he just couldn't even put words to. And he has a very powerful story. And he dealt, and I think he still deals with a lot of the grief that happens when you lose somebody. And I know he's had the ups and downs with that too. And I don't know if that's the best way to handle it, you know?
Yeah.
And
I think people are just different, man.
They are.
You can tell, you can see somebody struggling, hurting, and want to help them and want to give them advice, but that doesn't.
Here's the thing. You can be one way with one death, but you're a different way with another. Mm-hmm. I've never been like this with any death that I've ever had in my life. Grandmother, you know, I've been a different acceptance. I think it just depends on the situation.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of us were just torn that, like, Brandon had. I mean, he was coming into his own. You know, his family was growing, and he was just snatched.
Yeah. We before you got there, because when we got the news, everybody showed up at his house.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like they were telling him basically that there's no plan treatment that they can do for him because it's already on borrowed time.
Yeah.
And before you got there. I remember I was asking him, like, just, you know, like, I just wanted to be there to ask him how he's doing mentally with that type of information. And I remember he was telling me, he was like, well, I'm going to try to go get another diagnosis. I was like, well, what are you going to do if it's the same one? And he says, man, then I got to come home and sit here and think about the fact that, my 2 babies are going to grow up without knowing their dad,
I'll tell you, Nico, I brought I brought Brad and Brian home that night. We all went out and
his brothers.
I wrote something on Facebook, but I sat outside on the patio and I had a moment, and that ran through my mind because I knew in my heart that, he won't get to see his son take his first steps. He won't get to see any of that. But my whole point was when I posted, I'll catch you up to date one day, brother, because I want to be involved. I want to, it's important to me, and I know right now is probably not the best time. You need to let everybody,
sure,
but moving forward, and whoever is watching, and they know my situation with Brandon, I want to be involved, and I want to make a difference in those kids' life, and I want to have these type of stories, maybe not to the extent, but I know Brandon, I know his ways, and I know I'll see his ways in his kids as well, and it's something that I would like to be involved in moving forward. So
you good for him, man. I was just thinking that I bet his son actually had a lot of rub off on him.
Yeah.
And it's, it's actually interesting that he's 17 because he's in a good spot to become kind of like a father figure for them.
Yes. And I know Colin Cartopy, and I talked to Colin one night, and we got in a conversation. I said, you're a very important piece to this. He said, man, we talk every day. I talk to Megan every day. Me and Brandy sit, pull the tailgate out, have a couple beers, and chalk it up, and I know what he meant to my son, etc. And I said, that's part of being in a mature, fucking relationship, fucking respect somebody. And it seems like from the turnout and from all the feedback, and everybody really respected Brandon. It was 100%.
Yeah.
All or nothing.
Well, man, let's move into some stories that are lighthearted, man, or some, I asked you guys to put together some stories, that might be humorous or inspirational, whatever, man. Just some stories of y'all growing up,
Yeah, and I think that's important. But we talked about the grieving process, and I think it's really powerful that John's able to come on here and show his heart, and I think that's part of the process. I would also encourage anybody that's watching this show that we're therapy amongst friends, but you might need some professional help to go out there and, really get some of the feelings and emotions and learn to deal with that. But yeah, let's lighten it up, man, because I know we had a celebration of Brandon's life, and we wanted to have this show to be a celebration too. So, Brandon, we love you, and we're going to start kicking some stories for you. I'd like to read the last text that he told me out loud.
It was about being on here, man, and I'm glad
Brandon, again, was a big fan of the show.
Yeah.
And we've asked him to go on. I wanted him to tell a story, and he goes, Malin, really, I'm not in the kind of shape to be on the show right now. I was thinking of it, but when I beat this bullshit, it would be a great story to tell. And like I said, he went out with the fight. I know he had a powerful spirit. He was a strong man, and he was probably one of the funniest guys I know.
Yeah. Dude, Kevin.
That's why he liked the show. He laughed at us, I'm sure.
My biggest connection with him was our sense of humor.
Yeah.
That was where and I left that out when we connected, because Brandon would say some shit and I'd be like, damn. And they'd be like, whatever, Rose. It is don't be coming around here looking that kind of sense of humor.
Very dry, but very funny and sarcastic.
Funny. Yeah. And we had this thing where we would see somebody and be like, dude, that dude looks like fucking Brock Lesnar. They'd be like, oh my God, I was trying to think of who that looked like. You had that little, that friendship where in my family, everybody looks like somebody.
Tell us a story, man.
I'll tell you the story about when we went to New York. So we graduated from high school. We're, you know, in community college, and I tell Brandon, I said, obviously, I love Oasis, my favorite band of all time. Brandon was into it, but more of like more 90s grunge, kind of like from his brothers. You know, he liked Blind Melon was a big band of his. He liked more of that, and I said, we gotta go, dude. We'll stay at my grandmother's. I'm gonna talk to my dad. He'll take us up there, and he's like, yeah. So we buy a ticket and we go up there, and my grandmother's an Irish lady. She very, very Catholic, but not like, did you pray today? You know, it's not. It was never like that. Never pushy like that. But it took a lot for her to like trust you and like you. It's just the way she was. I think a lot like my dad, to warm up. But when he loves you, and that's the way he did with Brandon. You know, obviously bring him to his mother's house, and. So the first day we go out and we go to Niagara Falls and we're like hanging out, and Brandon brings a fleece, and it's Niagara Falls, dude.
Yeah.
So it's like 50 degrees, and I have on a rain jacket zipped up like I'm about to jump in the water. You know, it's all the way up, and Brandon has all this fleece. And it's but it's misting all over him all day.
Like a wet cat.
Yeah, he was freezing, dude. Yeah. So we're like, my dad's like, my dad borrowed one of my zip-up Adidas jackets. My dad's like, so you want to bounce around? And we're like, yeah. And then we look at Brandon, and Brandon's just like, we're like, all right, well, here's what we'll do. We'll go get the car. We'll heat the car up. You know, you take the jacket off. You fucking relax for a bit. And then Rose took the jacket off. You know, we were hanging, and we were like, well, my dad was like, you want to go back to New York, or we'll stay in Canada? Because back then you could just go over.
On the other side.
Yeah. And so Rose was like, no, like, let's go. So we go into Canada, and we stop at the Rainforest Cafe right on Niagara Falls. It's beautiful. Like, you sit at the cafe, and then you see in the background, you see all the the kind of the falls and that.
Right.
You can hear it too while you, like, it's not the one side of it's shut off, but the other side you can hear, you know, the falls and that. So my dad goes to the bathroom, and me and Brandon, I was like, dude, the drinking age in fucking Canada is 18. And I was like, give us 2 Molson Canadians. And my dad comes walking out, and he's like, so I guess you guys figured it out. We didn't even think about this coming into town, you know. We're like, yeah. And so we cheers it up. Me and Brandon had our first beer together.
Like legal beer.
Legal beer.
Yeah, because obviously you guys drank.
Yes, yeah. And so the next day, we go back to my grandmother's, and Brandon's like, oh yeah, man, he was like sleeping in the back of the car. Like, Brandon was the type of person that if he was worn out, dude, the guy, if he was comfortable, he'd sleep. So me and my dad are driving. I never remember the record we were listening to, or the album. It was Radiohead, The Bends, which came out in like, I think it was 95, 96, right around. It was a really good album of theirs. But I'm like, we're jamming out, kind of. I'm trying to show my dad like some modern day music, and we look back, and I'm like, Rose, and Rose is just like, but he had his hands like, it looked like he was about to like do a can opener. You know, he's like has his hands by his side, and he's just like sleeping.
That's a well-known dive off the diving board.
Yeah, like So we get back to the house, and Rose is like, my dad's like, hey, come upstairs. You know, you can sleep in my old bedroom. And Brandon's sitting in the living room, and he's sitting on the couch, and he's like got his white beater on, like the full 9 yards. And my grandmother's like, oh, honey, you know, you can make yourself at home, like right there. And he was like, yeah, I'll sleep on the couch. So he sleeps on the couch, and the next morning I wake up. I'm in my dad's bed upstairs. I wake up, and he's in the kitchen with my grandmother. And my grandmother had already made him like scrambled eggs, like toast. He had milk and OJ.
Like it's his grandma.
Yeah, like it was his grandmother. And the craziest thing that my dad always said was nobody got to my grandmother. He was like, none of my friends was even able to come close to having a relationship with my mom. She was always finding I don't want to say this because it sounds bad, but you find what you don't like rather than what you do like about somebody. Yeah. You know, and that night we go to the concert. So it was hooked on to an amusement park. So me and Brandon get there at like 11:30. We have a fake ID. So I have a fake ID. So I go and use it, and they give us like these handbands. And I'm like, Rose, dude. And he's like, no, man, just continue to go get us 2 beers at a time. I'm like, that ain't happening. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to one side of the park and then carrying over. We're going together, you know? And so he used the same ID.
Yeah,
he used the same ID.
They'll go at different times.
So most IDs that got passed around, do you remember the name of it?
It was, no, it was a buddy of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name was Jesse Merlin. Like, shout out to Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah.
Thanks for the beers.
And the funniest thing was Jesse...
And his twin, Jesse.
No, this is hilarious. Like, Jesse worked landscape and all that for a long period of time, or construction. It was one of the two, but he was doing something with his father, and I believe. But he was so tan. And so I was like real white. It was like in the middle of the winter. It was like real white. They're like, who's this Jesus Merlin guy? You don't look nothing like him. But so we go to the show, and we were just kicking it. Rode all these like amusement park. It was like going to Astroworld and then going into a concert. We were drinking Labatt Blue all day, me and Rose, and we go back to the house, and my dad's like, this is the way it's gonna be, you know, you're gonna sleep on the couch and Rose has got the bed upstairs. It's like, what kind of shit is this? What's going on here? First I wake up, Grandma's taking care of. Like, how does Rose maneuver this in a matter of 2 days?
That's that smile. Yeah.
It is. That's his charisma, and his. That is a perfect point of a good story showing his charisma and his heart and his way was undeniable. My grandmother just was eating him up. And Rose was eating all these lemon heads that my grandmother had, like this, like, you know, every grandmother has like a bowl.
Old candy.
Yeah, it was probably from like 07. Like, no, at the time it was probably from like 97, like Halloween. And Rose was eating them up, so she like gave him a big Ziploc bag to go home with.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, and he was like eating them on the plane. Oh, it was great. It was, that was probably... As you say, tell a story. That changed everything for the way that my family looked at Rose and our connection as friends. Once my dad knew that the way his mother gravitated towards him, it was a very it was a special thing, you know.
Became family.
Yeah, and I remember telling people, like, they were like, "Who cares that he met your grandmother?" Like, and I would go off. Some nights, you know, I have too much to drink and blah blah blah. Yeah, this is I'm like, this is, and I say that this is the only guy that ever met my grandmother. Yeah, and they're like, that's not even. Why is that such a big deal? And I'm like, it's a big deal to me.
Yeah. You don't know my grandma.
You don't know my granny, dude. Like, Granny she's a good judge of character. That's probably why she didn't like anybody. You know? So.
Oh my God! Yeah, man, I remember every time I showed up. Now I was like, I was 2 years older.
98 or 97.
I was that classic dude that was still coming to parties of like high school seniors.
And
I'm 2 years out of school.
Some white Prelude or some shit.
It's a Mercury Tracer.
The Mercury Tracer, dude.
Oh, dude,
that is so awesome. Dude. The Mercury Tracer, dude. I haven't heard
Erica stole my hubcaps, bro. She took my hubcaps off of the Mercury Tracer.
Shout out, Erica. Why you take his hubcaps, man? What's up?
I didn't even know, man. I'm rolling around, and somebody had to tell me, like, yeah, she put your hubcaps in her trunk.
Why?
Hey, we know that's about $35 on the streets coming up. So I mean, all due respect to that.
I had spinners on my hubcaps.
$7.50 a tire. But
man, what else, dude? Like, so you said y'all were talking about his sense of humor.
Yeah.
I'm like always attracted to people that I make laugh. Like, just as a humorous person, man.
Yeah.
And so, like, when I would see y'all at parties, it wasn't like I was like, where's Rose? Like you were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
but man, I would like beeline to him, dude. And I would just freaking, I'd love to make him laugh, dude. Like the second I started talking, the dude just get that big grin.
Because Nico would come in like that funny, like, hey man, so what's the deal? Like, what's going on around here? Give me the scoop. And we were all like, and you'd end up giving him the scoop, and he's like, all right. Well, dude, it was great.
Dude, he was in the back seat with me one time. Mikey and Stan are in the front.
Yeah.
And some flow comes on, and we're blowing, dude. I mean, we're just blown. And I go, yeah, dude, I'm a spitfire right now. And I just start freestyle rapping, man. But it was totally inappropriate sexual
I remember
orientation stuff.
So like every rap song that's out now.
No, yeah, but
Exactly.
it was exploratory in the homosexual realm. Dude, I had him rolling in the backseat, dude.
Dude, the intensity, like, I want to say this, Nico, because it's funny because the LaRubios were our friends that made us laugh like that. And you remember Jay. Jay was probably the most serious one he is. But he's got a funny-ass sense of humor. But Matt and Neil, like, they played off each other, you know, and that, like, coming up with that, like, stuff, jokingly, dude, we would roll. We would be rolling, and Rose had a funny sense of humor too, you know, like it was a little like we would have this thing where some shit would go down, or we would be like something we were standing around, and Brandon would be like, get that like big eye look and like look over, and all of a sudden I would like look over at the same time, and we would just start fucking dying laughing because I don't think anybody else ever noticed it. It was kind of our like little thing to notice, you know, but God, we would find the most funny shit. Like we just had like I said, the same sense of humor. Just absolutely like see something or about to talk about something and then him finish exactly what I was going to say. Like I was just going to say that, you know, like that type of friendship. Yeah. It's a good thing. It's a very, very good thing. It's a positive thing.
We doing okay on
We're
time?
doing good on time.
Just checking. Man, just off the top of your head, Johnny, man, you think of any other?
Yeah, another really good moment was his wedding. He invited my mom and my dad. That was very special for me to have my mom and my dad there during his biggest day, and they all looked the part, like beautiful suits. It was a beautiful setting. Just a beautiful thing to be a part of. And me and Megan we've never been that close. And it was an honor to come together with both sides of that. It's a wedding, you know, that's what you do. But what a moment. And Brandon, like, I know he appreciated it, and my mom and my dad there, you know, it's like, those are the type of moments that it was like me being in the same situation. Like I couldn't stop smiling. My mom, you know, we were dancing, my mom and dad were dancing, we were drinking, hanging out. I remember telling Miss Rose, and I told her this when, the day that we had a celebration of life, I thank you for always treating me like your second son, or not your second son,
Like
your fifth son.
I used to tease Brandon before they got engaged, and I knew they weren't engaged yet, but I'd always put them on Front Street. I'd be like, so y'all get engaged, you know? Because it took him a while, and he told me, he goes, I don't know if I'm a man enough to ask her to marry him. Like, he wanted to go about it the right way, and I'd always tease him, though. Even when Megan was there, I'd be like, so when's the wedding, you know? This was years before they even got, like, to that point.
And that was a very special night, and I go back to what I was telling Miss Rose. I said, thank you for treating me like part of your family. I always felt, thanks for making me a part of all this. And then when Brandon passed away, I sent her a long text, and I said the same thing. I said, I remember telling you at Brandon's wedding how much I appreciate you welcoming me into your family and treating me. I was a thank you. Hold the door, whatever she needed. I was always a gentleman. I treated her just like I treat my own mother, and and it will continue. You know, it's very, very important as we sit here and talk about and dedicate this to Brandon, that outside of what is going on, his wife, his kids, and his mother, his father, and Brad, Brian, Bill, that whole, got to keep them in mind, you know, all along the way, because I can only imagine. I know how I'm feeling, but I need to think outside the box and think about the extended family.
Yeah.
You know, and Megan and her family as well. You know, it's like, I speak about Rose because Rose is a buddy I grew up with, but that doesn't put Megan aside. I tend to talk about Rose because Rose is my boy.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here talking about. But obviously they're united. So
yeah, she's his wife. Yeah.
There's always that like ripple effect, and Brandon made a big ripple, man. He was a part of a lot of people's lives, and he's touched so many that, man, that the amount of people that were at his celebration of life blew my mind. You know, that many people would consider him friends, family, brothers. I mean, it was really an amazing celebration there. And the same with his wedding, man. He had a lot of people at his wedding too.
Yeah, and I think the craziest thing is I wore the same suit to both.
Yeah.
But I rose to with my mom and my dad, just to invite my mom and my dad. That means everything to me. Like, that's how united, and my mother was like a second mom to him, and his mother's a second mom to me. She loves me like her own son. She shows me.
Had y'all? I mean, obviously, when somebody gets married, you know, then their wife really becomes their best friend.
Yeah.
How often did y'all see each other since?
It's a good point. That's a great question, because that is part of my, somewhat of my sadness, because we weren't all that close, you know, for about a good 2 years, I would say. Almost like acquaintances.
Man, and y'all, how long did y'all hang out together? Because it was
for
like
long,
from
long
high
time.
school to...
It was a good, we had a good 30-year run.
And y'all were like always together.
Always together.
So that happens a lot when people start families.
Yeah.
You know,
and here's the thing.
Like
here's the thing, Nico and Kevin. I was always happy. I never held it like he didn't want to see me. I knew he was taking care of his family. And for me, I knew Brandon. Brandon needed like a structure. He needed to have his job and then come home and have his stuff he needed to do, and to have his focus. And his focus was his wife and his kids. His friendship comes second, you know.
Right.
Obviously, it's hard for me to digest because of how close I was. But no, he has this song, "No Hard Feelings," and there's no hard feelings. There was never a hard feeling. I just wish that we were a little closer in the last, 2 years, because I wanted to be the guy that when he had to lay in bed at night and think about what was going on, that he could call, and he never called me. You know, and that maybe shows when you get a little older, you know, and your avenues change. He went in his own direction, and, you know, I went in my direction, but that does bother me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I know him, and he was probably, even his brothers, he was probably alone on his island, you know, with his thoughts and the way he's very introverted, if you really know him, more than extroverted. It is Brandon, a bit shy in a way. But that bothers me, because in my heart, I know that the kid was going through fucking hell on earth, and I could have been a phone call away. But you what are you gonna do about that? You know, it's like, it eats you up. But the most important thing is he knew I loved him, and when the ball rolls, we take care of his family. You know,
people are different, John.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as close as I am to the guys that you mentioned earlier, Kevin, Mikey, Frank, if I was in that position, I'm probably not going to pick up the phone and call them and because that's just not me.
You don't want to pull them into you.
I just
don't want to pull them into.
I'm not a person that talks about feelings, so it could have been something like that, man. You don't know. I wouldn't beat yourself up over that.
I honestly, to just be honest with you guys, I do express my feelings. Obviously, from us sitting here, you can tell how open I've been, and it's just who I am, and some people aren't like that, but.
Well, we got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left on the show, and we had some great stories about Brandon, and we could tell stories about Brandon all day.
I only got 2.
He only got 2.
Sorry, I gave you the detail on 2 stories, like ultimate detail.
Well, man, I want to hear about John.
Yeah, I applaud you, John, for coming on and putting your heart out there and putting those stories, which meant a lot to you, man. They might not have been the greatest comical stories, but obviously those changed something in you and the dynamics of y'all's relationship, which just goes to show you the type of man Brandon was.
Yeah.
He really was an excellent man, a good friend, and we talked about not seeing each other a lot. Like, I didn't see Brandon a lot as we grew up, as we became adults, and that just happens.
Yeah.
But
dude,
when
I hadn't seen him since I saw y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Years ago, like 25 years ago.
You're talking about,
but you could walk up. So Brandon was a
97,
bartender for the majority of his career. I mean, you could walk up to Brandon, and I wouldn't see him in a year, and it would be like nothing happened, nothing changed.
That's how it is, man. Right? Like, you're like, dude. Before you and I started doing this show, man, we didn't see each other like super infrequent, But there's certain people like you with Brandon, like you can just pick up right where you left off.
Right?
Humor's the same. Freaking down for each other. He got history.
Yeah. Nico, the humor the same is like a huge thing because you can just see eye to eye. Yeah. Some people you joke around. We're talking about the Dave Chappelle thing. You get on stage, you joke around with some people, they're gonna want to tackle you. Yeah. Like we'd be laughing so hard we couldn't even stand up. Like.
So, man, Brandon, we love you. We want to dedicate this episode to you. Shout out to all your family. We know you're watching from above, and we're going to put some memorabilia on the wall for you so you're in the podcast with us.
Yes, sir.
We'll get that hung up. We got something special we'll show you guys next week. I want to finish the podcast on a good note, so I'm going to ask Nico to tell us a way back Wednesday, like he always does. And if he doesn't have anything written down, I know he can come up with one.
Yeah,
I love you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Love you, Rose, man. For sure.
Hoping the best for the family. I know they're going to be okay. But I know it's also tough. Yeah. It's real tough, I'm sure. And I've always been a person like this. I remember because I went to a funeral of a guy when I first became a Christian. We were in the same men's ministry, and he had lost 4 of his children. Wow. And he was probably like my age now, like 44, 45, and had already lost 4 children. And I remember like people at the church that were visiting him, like, oh, guy has blah blah blah. I was like, man, it's like heartless, dude. How can y'all say stuff like that to this guy right now? Yeah. And I remember I didn't say anything. I just went. Yeah. And loved on them in that way. And then later, like a couple months later, I see him at the gas station, and I was saying, man, I was like, I didn't say anything to you because I was like, what can you say to somebody at that time? I was like, I just felt like we should be there for you. And I hated how all those people were saying stuff to you, like, oh, this is God's plan or whatever, And he was like, Nico, he's like, the fact that you told me right now that you just wanted to be there and didn't need to say anything like that, he's like, means more than all the things that people were having to say to me. So
that's Nico, and that's a good point to go back to when we all were there for Rose. Yeah. I didn't really talk to him. I just wanted him to know that I was there, and we were all kind of sitting around, and it's an important thing for people to just see faces, It means something to somebody to be able to accept that and, see who's there and who's not.
All right, I know you wanted us to move off of that, so.
Yeah, so.
All right, so I had 3, man. Here, let me give you the titles.
Can I get you to sing at all, anything? Got any raps? Nothing?
What song, dude? Oh, I did. I was singing some
I am going to ask for
Richard
one thing.
Marks,
I am going to ask for one thing, Nico, because before we booked John White, we weren't for sure how that was going to play out, and you were going to do a top 10 list. Did you complete the top 10 ways to save money? You didn't do it. Okay, we'll save that for next episode. So what you got?
Let's see if I can get this, man, because I told you, like, it's not like singing in the shower where you feel like you're all vocal, man. even though there's nobody sitting here, I get stage fright to do this.
You got this, brother.
All right, so this is Richard Marx. I was singing this the other day, man, and I actually saved it. I was like, you know, I'll just kick it for Kevin and see what he says. Let's see here.
All right.
Let's see here.
Action.
Yeah. I don't know how to stop feeling this way. I gotta start over. I'm cracking. I can hear it, man. Here we go.
I got my mom.
Oh, here we go.
I feel like I need to have a mom or my...
Yeah.
So the best part is watching you look at them.
I don't know how to stop feeling this way.
Yeah.
Hold on to the nights. Hold on to the memories. If only I could give you something more. If I could be yours.
Hey, dude. I'll give you a...
Man, shout out. That was for
Dude,
B-Rose right there.
I could feel it. I was still wavering. Man, I get stage fright when I sing, man.
Which is crazy to me that you get stage fright because you are never scared of anything and it doesn't show, man. I love it, man. That was a great song.
Yeah,
the round 2 was better. You were cracking pretty hard on the first one.
Yeah, dude. I could still feel it right there on that one. So.
I like the like the head, like when you're like, you were really like into that, dude. That was intense, dude.
All right, so here's the titles, and I'll give you the quick rundown. You can tell me which one you want. All right. Wolfman saw me give somebody deworming pills at a party. That's number 1. All right. Boo-foo joke at a corporate party. And burn down a house.
Number 1.
Anything that has to do with Wolfman is number 1. You don't ever have to ask again.
Yeah, dude. Me and Wolfman rolled out to this party. All right, first of all, Paul Passo, a guy that basically looked like Eddie Munster.
Legend,
and so a friend of ours, Roy Seltenbridge, who watches or who comments sometimes.
Shout out Roy.
Yeah. Named him Wolfman after Eddie Munster. And it stuck.
It stuck so bad that you can say Paul and people don't know who you're talking about. And they're like, oh, Wolfman. They're like, oh, yeah.
The best is when he's like, shut up, motherfucker, I'm Paul. It's like, dude.
His new friends don't know him as Wolf.
Shut up, motherfucker.
When I got on Facebook and started connecting with all these old friends,
yeah,
people that are like 3 years ahead of him that were super preppy, or texting me on the side, like messaging me, hey, whatever happened to Wolfman?
So it's a common joke between all of our friends that if we get together within 5 to 10 minutes, Wolfman's name's getting brought up, man. He is the mecca. And I'm telling you, he could have been the president if he had the right direction.
He sent me a couple photos of his house, his parents' house.
Oh, yeah. They
redid it. It looks, dude, that looks...
We had a big joke that I was going to buy it. All right, tell us the story.
All right, so here it is. There was like this one period of time where Wolfman was my road dog. Like I'd go pick him up and we'd roll to whatever party was going on.
Yeah.
And it could be that everybody else was in jail. I don't exactly remember. Like Mikey wasn't around, Frankie wasn't around. Like you weren't there. You know?
Wolfman was the guy you could always call no matter what. If you didn't have a friend to go roll with you, you called Wolfman. Hey, I'll buy.
Well, dude, and everybody told him where the parties were.
Yeah,
they're like because back then, like
he was the plug.
You got to remember, we didn't have phones, dude.
Siri, he was Siri before Siri.
Nobody had phones, dude. So you had to pick up the landline and call people to figure this stuff out. So Wolfman always knew.
He always.
Yeah. And you got to call a landline back in the day,
dude.
Yeah.
So that's like, how are you on top of that? You'll be lucky to get.
Oh, dude, he's working the lines, bro.
Yeah. You get lucky to get one hit on a party. You call somebody and you're like, oh, you're having a party, great. Let's go over there and chill out all night because you're not going to drive around and
know where the next one is. Nobody would know.
No one would know.
Wolfman was the plug.
Yeah. So, so I go to pick him up. All right, where's the party tonight, man? He's like, this thing is out in past Conroe, dude, like Livingston. And I'm like, Livingston?
Whose car?
And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I hope he has the real deal information, man. Like, we're just going to show up on an hour-and-a-half drive to Livingston you know, and there ain't even gonna be a party.
Yeah.
But sure shit, dude. There was this freaking, like, we started driving through the woods. I was like, man, why are you taking me, dude?
You hear this?
You know?
You hear like the brush going on the side of the car. You're like, hey, what are we? Are we dumping?
We're not even on a road,
Are
dude.
we dumping like a chihuahua out here or something?
He's you know, he's super dark, and he's just like, yeah, just get off on this trail right here, you know? I'm like, what?
No Google Maps.
No. So we do it, you know,
No
man.
map.
And we drive
Let alone Google Maps.
We drive like literally like 3/4 of a mile down this gravel trail, dude. And finally get to this freaking single wide trailer, and the lights are on, and there's a ton of freaking cars and trucks around, and there's basically a DJ inside freaking scratching records, man, and people are just partying, man. So you know, we come in, you know, do our thing, say what's up to everybody, you know.
Man puts it on his favorite song of all the, you know how you'd always hit the.
He had a screw tape for it.
He was like, you'd hear one of the fucking, he probably destroyed their Led Zeppelin double press vinyl. It's like, and then he would just throw his tape in. And
it was more like rap mixed with like techno.
Yeah.
But the focal point is the DJ for everybody. So everybody's drinking and looking at the DJ. And you know, this kind of stuff. And we've been smoking and drinking, and man, I reach on top of the refrigerator just to hold myself, and I feel something, and I pull it down, and it's this sleeve of like pills, and I read it and I say dog dewormer. Dude, this chick she snatches them out of my hand
and pops through.
Starts popping them. And then she hangs on me and goes, "Thank you, baby."
Oh God!
And she was like trying to kiss me and stuff. And Wolfman's just he's looking and he can't help. He's just freaking laughing his ass off with that face that he makes with his hand over his mouth. Yeah. And he's losing his shit, man. And she's just all hanging on me and freaking licking me and stuff, and thinking like she's gonna be into me because I provide her all these drugs, man.
Yeah.
And he totally saw me give her these dewormer pills, man.
Dude, so this is probably something similar to like ivermectin, right? Or that's a dewormer.
I have a really brief, funny story about Wolfman and his dad. Me and Jayla Rubio went over there one night, and he was like, "Yeah, man, Italian guys, Mister," and his dad was in a robe, and he's like, "Yeah, cocksuckers." We're like, "Yeah, man." So we walk in the kitchen, and Jay's like, "Yeah, where are you from in Italy? Like, where's your?" He's like, "Well, we're Colombian, but my dad or whatever's from Parma, or I think it was Parma. Paul maybe obviously know better, but he's like wanted us to move an air conditioning unit at like fucking. This is like 12:30. Like, we came over to chill.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, me and LaRubio are in the driveway with this air conditioning unit, and he has like his robe on and like some like flip flops that have been blown out a few times. You know, it's like, so he's like staggering around. He's like, "Yeah, put it right here, you cocksuckers." And we're like, and so Wolfman's like, "Yeah, let's go upstairs." And so we're like, "Dude, we're kind of like, I'm going home, dude. I'm sweating." Like, he's like, "Yeah, dude, Papa will put you to work." And I'm like, "Put us to work? You stand there."
Paul didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm laughing because Mr. Paso had the robe on, and if you've ever seen him in the robe, you've probably seen one of his testicles.
Nothing on.
He would be out working on the car and nothing nuts, man.
Nothing on underneath.
Man, well, shout out to Wolf, man.
We're trying to get him to come on, dude.
We are trying to get on. Come on, Wolf, defend yourself, man. But we're about around getting out of time here. We got about 1 minute left. So, again, shout out B-Rose, man. We love you. Yeah. We dedicate this episode to you. Nico, take us out one time. Subscribe, like, follow.
Yeah. Hey, listen, thank you for John coming on and explaining the struggles that it's like to lose somebody so close.
Yes.
If you're struggling, do not isolate yourself. Get around some people, and hopefully people that are doing positive things.
Yeah.
But yes, as Kevin said, we would like if you could hit subscribe, and we appreciate you viewing and watching. So that's all I got, man.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week on Wednesday. John, you got anything to say before we wrap it up?
One last thing. Honored to be here. Kevin walked me around your whole, establishment. Beautiful location, and just feel at home here. And I appreciate you guys having me on and being able to
shed some light, because it's nothing but positivity moving forward. So
yeah, we thank you for coming on. We thank you for sharing the stories, and
may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, man. So great show.
What do you guys think? Real as fuck.